Another day of farming this nightmare nest for fucking nothing. In preparation for the glob. Okay. We're cooking, we're cooking, alright. W lurkers, thank you for lurking. I love all my lurkers. I can relate. I like that, I like that. How's it going? Going pretty solid, Chameleon. Going pretty solid. Hope you're doing well. Not a bad haul. I've seen worse days for sure. Close to the 2 standard. I need to get Fazic for Galbrena. But like I'm so okay. Chat, am I stupid? I had like 40 pity in the standard banner and I like obviously went for a standard weapon. But instead of like because we didn't have the new standards leaked, right? This was like right before like maybe a week or two before the standards got leaked. I made an S2 static mist. Like is that like genius on the low or is that like brick? What happened to Enfield? Nothing. Do you mean like why I'm not playing it? I just didn't fuck with it too much. Mainly the factory system. I can realize it's a really good game, but the factory system I don't think is for me, and it's like such a big aspect of the game. So I'm already playing a lot of gachas right now. The one I'm playing the most is Bleach Soul Resonance. Kenpachi I think is the next banner character, which is like kind of useless because I thought they'd go through like every attribute of DPS because it's a new gacha game, and they did do that, except for strike. So like the first DPS was a slash one, and now we're getting another slash DPS, which is Kenpachi. So I don't really need that, so it's kind of a skip patch for me. Slowly but surely, getting this exploration on La Roy on this account. I'll eventually 100% everything. Alright, chap, you want to give me my 30 asteroid? Thank you. What's my pity looking like? The pity is 37. See if I can get early. Nope. Nope. No earlies, guys. No earlies. Unfortunate. It's fine. Are you still folding for Mornai? I mean, it's not really a fold. Like, I've always planned to go for her. The plan is, because I don't have Lupa, but I have Lene. The plan is to end up getting Mornai eventually, and then doing Galbrena, Lene, Mornai. Singles equals no earlies. I've gotten more earlies doing singles than when I do 10 pulls. I don't think it makes a difference. Hello, everybody. Oh. Hello, Makima. No power creep glazing today? You seem tired of it? What do you mean? What do you mean by power creep glazing? Shoda's still trash? Your own opinion, bub. Although most people agree with that, so. Dude, why do these guys just appear, man? Any change to Ameth or Luke sequence nodes? Not really Luke's. Luke's are still underwhelming. He went from like 35% jump from S0 to S3, and now it's like 40%. But Ameth got a noticeable buff. Ameth is now like S0 to S3 is like 63, 65%, which is way more in line with like the 2.x DPSs. 3.0 power level goes hard now. Everyone will be better than S0 Cart. I mean, Cart is like one of those Zanny situations, especially with the release of Chisa, where if you only consider like normal 1, 2, 3 rotations for the average player, yes. But Cartethia does have a pretty high skill ceiling when you include both a double plunge rotation and quick swap. So it depends. If you are someone who's like, I'd say elite in this game, you know, you don't have a problem with quick swap and stuff, Cartethia would still be stronger than both of these two for now. I mean, Ames still has her negative status team, of course, so people should be aware of that. But if you only look at normal rotations, yes. She loses to both of them. Both Luke and Ameth. And the best part is, Luke and Ameth teams are less reliant on signatures, yet reaching the same, if not better, performance. So at a baseline, not including weapons, in total the teams are probably like 10% stronger than Cart. Maybe a little more. And of course, we'll get stronger DPSs. That much is obvious. This like 2.2 million, 2.1 million damage per rotation thing will be the baseline. It won't be the cap. Like if we were to draw references from Carlotta was the new strongest DPS in the version, and she did about what, like 1.6 DPR million, and the peak of Cart before we enter version 3 is like 2.15, right? So it's more than a 500k increase, about a 30% increase. So if you were to use this and move it to version 3 and say that by the end of version 3 the strongest team will be like 30% stronger than Cart, then that would put you at like 2.8 million damage per rotation. That's the likely case scenario of the strongest DPS. And then when we move to version 4 of this game, probably 3 milli. That's my guess. Because gacha games power creep by percentage. They don't power creep by base damage. Holy damage numbers? Yeah. Face reveal? No. Why would I face reveal? There's nothing in it. In fact, I just lose money because I'd have to buy a webcam. Wait, I already got this, right? Yeah. Give Kiyuan rest, he's driving every day. There. Yeah, like, I'm a capybara, guys. Why do you guys want to goon to capybaras? Isn't that, like, bestiality? Chill. It's in his PFP, exactly. I mean, it's whatever, Twilight. Let's try to move on from it. There's no point in, like, he's gonna keep doing what he's doing. He's gonna retain his fan base because he's too big at this point. It just doesn't matter. I just had to get that video out. That video wasn't for Saint. It wasn't for the content creators. It wasn't for that. I made that video towards the Wua community and the general gacha community to show how hypocritical they are and to see if maybe that can like wake some people up. That's basically the only purpose of that video. I don't actually expect these CCs to really change their ways. It would be nice if they did though. I know, they care more about making money. It just is what it is. No crash out Gabby today? I mean, there's no point. I've already made my video. Actually, technically, 2 videos or 3 videos if you count my older ones. The older hypocrisy one. If that ain't enough, then nothing is enough for most people. Ugh. Do you think the Fortnite Battle Pass skins have been good? Hell no. I don't think that they've been good so long. It's hard for me to find a Battle Pass I'm interested in anymore, which is kind of sad. At the beginning of the game, I wanted like every single one. The problem is most of these collabs are like, or sorry, like most of these Battle Passes are like reskin characters or collabs or like, I don't know, the skin quality just doesn't feel as good as it used to be. I barely spend money on Fortnite. Like, it's such a rare occurrence. It's so fucking rare. What is the best battle pass, you think? The one that had drift. I'm pretty sure that's back in chapter 1. Not even just because of the battle pass itself, but drift as a design is probably my favorite skin in the entire game. Hello, Martin. Will you play Enfield? I already did, but I just didn't fuck with it. So, unfortunately, not for me. I think the next big game and the next big release of gacha that you guys will see me playing, similar to like the Wuwa open world shit, will probably be Silver Palace. I think Silver Palace has got me on lock. Still no release date for Silver Palace? No, they're still doing closed beta tests. Like we just had the first one recently. And they're obviously going to have a second one cuz well they basically already said it. There might be another one and then other beta tests, so stuff like that. I'd say like the best you can hope for is if the game releases like early next year. For a first beta, the game is so good. Yeah, that's what impressed me so much. That impressed me so much. For a first closed beta test, holy shit, dude. Like the quality was already so good. I just hope they got a decent gacha system. Their current leaked gacha system is basically almost a one-to-one to Honkai Star Rail. But the character banner pity is 10 less at max 80. And then they have a 75-25. I hope they at least take the Wua route. I hope. Ugh. And that's like the bare minimum for me. The combat, especially because of the camera perspective in combat, is like very God of War esque. Like I talked about this before. It just doesn't feel like a gacha. because of the way the camera works, the lore, the background story. Like, it just doesn't feel like it was supposed to be a gacha. It feels like they forced the gacha into a solo player game because they knew it'd be more profitable. That's how Silver Palace feels. Hello, Max. So far, the best gacha I've played in terms of like being able to attain characters and pity system is Bleach Soul Resonance, and it isn't even close. There's still no one that comes close to that game. Just realize your latest hypocrisy vid has more likes and comments. That's only temporary. Don't worry. My older hypocrisy vid was the same way. And then when I got my video reacted to by all the CCs and Tectone, the comment count went up astronomically. So if I get reacted to by like Saint, for example, and he makes a video on it, the comments will just skyrocket. But yes, this does show that outside of like me getting brigaded by other CC's communities, people absolutely agree, which is good. I mean, it's obvious. Like, you can't even argue it anymore. You could have maybe made the argument like 9 months ago on my first one. You know, oh, how can you predict Wubo will go in this bad route? You're doom posting the game. You want it to EOS, Hoyo shill, whatever, right? But at this point, it's just kind of undeniable. You know what I'm saying? How do you play the Bleach game on PC? You don't. Well, you can through like an emulator, but I don't because the emulators just feel so much worse. I just play Claw on my iPad for Bleach Soul Resonance. Why are you playing this slop instead of HSR? That sounds sarcastic, so I'm gonna assume it's sarcastic. uh, my bad. I have trouble distinguishing sarcasm sometimes when it comes to chats. Do you play roguelike games? Not really. I'm basically gacha man lately. I just play gachas, make content on gachas. I try to learn my gachas though before I talk about them to some extent. I don't like talking about games I don't play, like Genshin for example. I don't make any Genshin videos because I don't play it. I play Fortnite almost never these days, Butterbean, unless my friends want me to get on so I can like carry them or something. There really isn't anything else. No, yeah, I also think like being stuck to playing a game on phone sucks. I don't know why they haven't made a Bleach Soul Resonance PC port. Like, it would be so good. I'm sure they'll probably do it at some point and work on getting it for console because they'd obviously make way more money that way. But for now, unfortunately, it's basically stuck to mobile. Yeah, I got the Ichigo skin from the Bleach collab. Yeah, Rukia being that tall is like kind of cursed. So Redra rerun next patch, Hopium? Maybe. It would suck if Saridra reran next patch. Because then I'd have to decide between Saridra or Buff Sparkle. Technically, Buff Sparkle matters more for my Archer. So I'd probably go Buff Sparkle. Because Cyrene is like the one I really need. Like Saridra is also a pretty big jump for a Noxa paired with Cyrene. But if I can't get Buff Sparkle, then my Archer's performance is just forever going to be lacking. So they will put Sparkle on the golden token? Sure. Sure, buddy. The strongest hyper carry buffer in the game, generally, too, as in the golden token. I don't see it. I could see them maybe adding her to the golden token, like, near the end of the version. What if the pull count for WUA 3.1 is 70 pulls? That would be cinema. Well, the pulls should be low, I think. Because according to... Okay, let me recheck before I say anything. Let me check... Oh, wait. There we go. How many pulls were on Prolova's patch? Okay, so the current leaks say there are 5 new maps for like in 3.1, right? And this is very similar to Prolova's patch in 2.5, where they had the Fabricatorium. Yeah, right here, right? If you go here, it also has 5 different maps. So this is likely what they mean by that. And Prolova's patch actually has the lowest pulls in the history of this game. So if the base pulls of the patch are the same as Prolova's, even with the so-called extra rewards and Chinese New Year 10 pull, I don't see it going past average pulls per patch, which is about 110 for the game right now. That depends if they do this the exact same as Prolova's. Whoops. There we go. At max 90 to 95 pulls. Not like if they use Prolova's patch as a base, plus the pulls that they're giving in this thing, I'd say like 100, 105. I think that might be a little more realistic, just a little bit more. If it's lower, then I mean, it is what it is. I don't know. If it's higher, let's go. You know what I'm saying? I'll take any pulls I can get, man. I'm trying to get Galbraina. I'm trying to get Mornai, and then I'm just going all in on the Galbraina sequences. Well, I'd argue neither of the 3.1 characters are super reliant on their signature weapon. Because Amos got nerfed, and then Luke has the alternative. Oh, Luke has the alternative in the standard gauntlet. So Luke's signature over the standard gauntlet, I think, is like 15%, 17%. And then Amos signature over EOG, I think, is like 22%. So not bad, not bad. Really respectable sig jumps. So you can go without needing a signature. Should I pull Augusta or say for future DPS? Well, that depends what you're looking for. If we're talking meta-wise, 100%. 100%. But if we're talking about, just a character you really like and they'll still clear anyways, yeah, you can still go for Augusta for sure. She's still a pretty strong unit. It just depends on what you're looking for. Meta-wise, I just wouldn't recommend anyone get Augusta. Even if we talk about, free-to-play team performance without best in slots, it's likely that both Luke and Ameth can keep up decently well with a free-to-play Augusta. But then you always have that option of eventually getting the premium team and the weapons and the sequences. So, yeah. But, like, for example, I'm going for Galbrena. I don't even care about Ameth and Luke at this point. I'm going for Galbrena because I don't know what hit me. I just decided I wanted her. And I'm like full all inning on her sequence investment. Hopefully by Annie, I can at least get her like S3. And then whenever she reruns again in the future, which might be never to be honest, but if she ever reruns again after the Annie, I'd get her S6. Can't wait for the fold video. I mean, it's just not happening. I really want Glob. Glob also has a very good thing going for her, which is the new standard pistol makes it so that like she doesn't need her sig at all. Like it might be the lowest sig jump in the entire game or close. Her sig is only 8% better than the current standard pistol. Going for Ameth S6 free to play. Wish me luck. Good luck. Jesus. Good luck. I have a feeling they might make Ameth's fusion team stronger than Toon Break. I think this is obvious. I think most people agree. Because the Fusion Burst team will obviously have more niche teammates that aren't anywhere near as valuable generally as Lene Mornai, they'll likely compensate by making it her actual strongest team. Or, similar to like a Zanny or Cart situation, because it's a negative status team, it'll have a higher ceiling, right? So you'd still have 1, 2, 3 rotation, like 2.2, 2.3 million damage, but then you get the ceiling of like a Cartethia team with Chisa, right? And for those who don't know, especially with Chisa Quick Swap, you can increase the ceiling of negative status characters a lot, okay? Like Cartethia became way stronger in the right hands. So theoretically, you could start hitting new levels of power ceiling, like right, like 2.6, 2.7 million damage per rotation. So I'd say either or it could be both. It could be stronger at base and have a higher ceiling at the same time. I don't know what they'll decide to go for though. Oh yeah, I know. I know Guardians. I know. Nah, I don't think they'll do a Fusion Burst Sustain. I think Chisa is gonna keep being in that team. If they do a Fusion Burst third slot, then I have to say Ameth is like, she like it's not even oh maybe she might get stronger with her negative status. Like it 100% be stronger. But I feel like they're gonna keep people wanting to use Chisa. Baby's first gacha finally acts like a gacha. Well, yeah. I mean, it's like the only reason it's like a drama is because of CCs and like communities deluding themselves into the game would never do it. which is like stupid. Gacha in the first place always do this these spending events. My speculation is the Toon Break AMET team will be stronger for TOA and Fusion Burst 1 for Weewa. I feel like that still just isn't enough for, like, to convince people to go to the negative status team. It really isn't. I think they'll still make her negative status team stronger no matter what. Time for Fusion Chacona? Yeah, to be honest, like, this is another thing that I've mentioned over and over again. If they shill the weapons on, like, the Fusion Burst sub DPS, like a Chacona weapon, that alone would put it above the Toon Break team, right? Like, even if you assume Lene and the sub DPS have equal value, if they give AMS sub DPS a Chacona weapon, she goes up to probably like 2.4 million DPR just off that. You know what I'm saying? Like, Cartethia, really the only reason, you know, she can, like, keep up with, let's say, like, premium Luke, premium Ameth, is the weapons, right? These two new characters don't rely on the weapons as much on their teams. Chacona, minus 10% arrow res on enemies. That's about, like, a 12% overall DPS increase. And Cartethia gets, like, a 35% jump from her weapon, right? And Chisa also gives a bit of a buff with her weapon as well. So if you remove weapons, technically speaking, these new DPSs are stronger than Cart Premium. Hello, Tactician. Lupa rerun is bait for Ameth? I mean, that depends. Because Lupa is just so generally good for every fusion unit. Like, you can run Lupa with Mornai and Galbrena, and it performs exceptionally. You can run Lupa with Mornai and Brant, Hyper Carry, performs exceptionally. You can obviously use Lupa in the normal monofusion team that most people are used to. Like, even though Lupa won't be best in slot likely for any upcoming fusion DPS, she has that general use, right? She's like the next best alternative. And if you already own Lupa and you don't want to pull an A for, let's say, Ameth or her Fusion Burst sub DPS, then technically Ameth is still 2.x DPS level, right? Like, even without Lene, Lupa Mornai, like, the calc is 1.85 million damage. That's as much as Augusta in her premium team with Yuno, right? So she's always going to be like that alternative for fusion teams if you don't have a best in slot. Are you skipping Luke? Yeah. I want Galbrena. Brand still worth pulling? Um, he still has value for sure, but I wouldn't really recommend anyone pull him. I think the best part about him is if you aren't someone afraid to go into sequence investment in the future and you, like, want to run him hyper carry, he doesn't need another sustain on the team because he himself is a sustain, right? So, like, technically speaking, he could keep getting buffed by using Lupa plus any other future better buffer that's fusion for him, and he has, like, the strongest sequences almost in the entire game. Like, he is, I think, the closest to cart level sequences. So he's strong as a hyper carry DPS, is really good sustain, really good as a sub DPS, especially for quick swappers, has some of the most disgusting sequence investment. He's kind of like a Yuno situation where they're incredibly versatile, right? Incredibly versatile. But in my opinion, Brant has more teams where he can naturally slot into as compared to Yuno. But Yuno has the better buffing on outro. So in my opinion, it's like whatever. They're both close. Is Luke worth pulling or is he cooked? I mean, Luke is stronger than everybody in the game except Cartethia. So that's about all you need to know. For the average player, like I'd say 95% of the player base, Luke is stronger than everyone except Cartethia and Ameth. Are you still eating humans? Nah, I decided to stay off it today. I have S0R0 Lene and I have guaranteed. Should I pull Ameth first or Mornai? Cannot guarantee both. I mean, Ameth can work without Mornai. No, because you have Lene. So on the Toon Break team, you'd want, what's it called? Mornai. I mean, you could just wait till the reruns, you know? You will have to wait a bit, but Mornai will probably rerun on the Annie banners. So that isn't too far. Annie should be 3.3, right? And there's like, what? Yeah. You only have to wait about 3 months and a half, I'd say. I don't want the cutscene movie character. Yeah, a lot of people don't like Amos combat too much. I mean, Luke's sequences are still chopped. I don't know why they like they have to be doing it on purpose, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because they know male wanners save more, so they make the S6 more bait than the S3. But his S0 to S3 jump, I think, is the lowest in like forever. Like I'm confident every 2.x main DPS from S0 to S3 gets a bigger jump than Luke does, which is questionable. So he technically speaking, he has like 1.x level S0 to S3 jump. Is Ameth S2 and S3 worth it? If I remember correctly, S3 is the big jump for Ameth. I'm pretty sure it's S3. Yeah, S3 is the big one. So S0 to S2 is a 22% jump, and then S0 to S3 is a 63% jump. So they get you pretty hard with the S3 bait. They do this because they sell sequences in the Coral shop. S3 Ameth or S3 Cart. In a premium team, S3 Cart is probably stronger. In all honesty, an S2 Cart is probably a bigger jump if you change up the rotation to do double plunge, and it makes her catch up with Ameth. So once you add S3, which makes it like basically a 100% jump from S0, she's like, I'd say she's stronger than S3 Ameth at S3. Card sequences are quite something for sure. That's all I'll say. It jumps from 1.9 mil to 2.6 mil personal damage. Yep. Wait, no, it's more than that. S0 is 1.6 mil for Ameth, and then S3 is 2.6 mil. So it's a 1 million damage addition. They're gonna buff Amy damage numbers? I don't think so. She already went from like, she went from 2 mil to 2.1 to 2.2, and now her 2x rupture is at 2.3. I think they're only going to make her stronger through her negative status team and not this Toon Break one. I think 2.3 is like they're probably already thinking they're pushing it because it's probably not going to be her strongest team. You know how like people just assumed there wouldn't be an Arrow Rover replacement for Cartethia? And they were like, nah, there's no way the team gets upgraded. And then Chisa came out upgrading the team. It's probably a situation that like that's going to happen again. They're going to upgrade the team with a negative status version. You just have to time the Toon Break well, secret name, to hide my identity. Funny name. Um, you just need to time the Toon Break, hopefully on Galbrena's turn or at the end of the second support's turn that goes into the main DPS, and you're fine. That's all you need. The SIG will only be 8% better than Fazic, which is the new pistol, if you can always time it correctly. Like the Toon Break. It'll be easier with Mornai, of course, because like she lets you break faster, but oh, I didn't read the full thing, my bad. How good is Galbrena with Mortefi Varina? I'll obviously be trying to pick up as many sequences as I can. Mortefi Varina. That sounds kind of chopped. I know Mortefi Lupa isn't that bad, but that's because Lupa. Mortefi Varina is probably quite chopped. Let me see if it's on Cam's thing. So, okay, he has a Mortefi SK, which is the closest you can kind of get. And Mortefi SK is 1.3 million DBR, which is a little weaker than Jinshi's premium team. And you have Arena, which is probably weaker than an SK with her SIG. So it's safe to assume probably like 1.2, maybe a little less with Marina. So it's not the greatest. Yeah, it's not the greatest. But it's good enough to clear, I'm pretty sure for sure. I think that's good enough for clearing at least like the first few middle TOA floors. And it's good enough for probably getting 5k plus in Double Pawns Matrix with a little sweat. Okay, with a little sweat. So I have Cart Chacona as one team, Yuno Lene as second team. I want to get Calbrena because I like her a lot as a third team. It's a new account, but I also have terrible luck banner wise. Yeah, I get that. You can get by for sure. You can get by, and it can be like obviously a personal character pool. I mean, you already have a few teams. Like those two teams you just mentioned are enough, anyways. Um, I'd recommend, obviously, go looking to maybe invest into a like Lupa Mornai team or a QU1 SK team because QU1 should rerun in 3.2, right? But if you don't want to do this and you just want to go like hell into sequences, the one you're looking for is S2. Actually, both S2 and S3 are nice jumps, right? So S0 to S2 is 40%, S0 to S3 is 70%. So you can for sure make up for not having like best in slot teammates by simply pulling for her sequences. You have to go to like S2, S3 though. Yeah. Oh wait, that 1.2, 1.3 number I think was with a Galbreno with her weapon. Yeah, her weapon is 8% better than Phasic, so let me see. Where was it? So that's Galbrino with her weapon 1.3. Verena it's probably 1.2. And Nerf. Wait, why is Mortefi doing so much damage? Oh my god. Nerf her damage by like 50k. So you're at like 1.15 milli. For reference, people make QU1 DPS work with like Mortefi, Verena, or SK, and he doesn't even hit 1 milli. So you will be able to clear with Galbrina, even with standard weapon and that free-to-play team. But I wouldn't recommend, obviously, using her in late middle stages. Yeah, side towers for sure. Side towers for sure. 100% should be usable in side towers. Unless they hit us with some fucking fat HP inflation out of nowhere. Are you going to pull Kenpachi and Bleach Soul Resonance? No. I already have Bankai Ichigo, and they fulfill the exact same role. So it's kind of like stupid for me to get Kenpachi. And to be honest, like, it's fine for me to take a break from pulling on a banner for once on Bleach Soul Resonance. I've pulled every single character with their weapon in Bleach Soul Resonance. And I currently have like 26 pity on the character banner. Dude, it's so easy getting every character in that game being a low spender. Oh my goodness. Recently came back to the game. Is Brant holding up well? Want to get him on the next rerun? Yeah, Brant's pretty good. We were talking about it earlier. He has a lot of teams. A lot of teams. He has main DPS. He can be sub DPS in many cases. He's obviously like he can be a third slot to sustain the team and make them not take damage. He fulfills everything and basically does everything well. And his sequence investment is really strong. But I would say I highly recommend getting his weapon. Go back to Enfield? Nah, dude. I already played too many gachas. Ung's losing the motivation to play 8 bajillion gachas at once. I need to keep it close. Banger? Yeah, I got Cheng Li. Yeah, that's nice. You'd probably want to pull Lupa, who should be rerunning in the next patch if you want to run the Mono Fusion team with Cheng Li. How are AMS sequences looking? Bad until S3. She has like S3 and S6 bait. And I'm not even like trying to, say that to be mean. It's genuinely one of the worst S2 jumps I've seen in a long time. It's only like 20% stronger going from S0 to S2. And then S0 to S3 is like 63%. So, if you have to leave one of your gachas, which one would you choose to leave and why? I mean, the only ones I really actively play currently are HSR Wuwa and Bleach Soul Resonance. I don't think I'd drop any of them. If there's one I'm most likely to take a break on, it's HSR for now, because I'm still working towards something on this account. Right. This is the thing. Like on HSR, I've kind of already beat the game. I full clear endgame on my free to play account. I easily full clear on my main account. And so basically the only challenge left for me at this point, which is something I do plan to do, is getting a true zero cycle on my free to play HSR account. But once I achieve that, it doesn't really go further than that. You know what I'm saying? So at what sequence can aim as solo? It's hard to say. I mean, I can't really speak for this. Um, because solo is weird. Like, she's pretty reliant on either having Lene, well, mostly Lene, and then even Lupa, who can usually be best in slot for any fusion DPS. That's not the case here. Um, I'd say S3 is the safest. I'd say S3 is the safest and the most likely to allow you to solo because her S2 jump is simply too low. Like, it's hard to say she'd be comfortable solo given how bad her S2 jump is. It'd be more reliant on the S3. What are Ameth's best teams? Well, currently her best Tomb Break team is Lene Mornai, and it's her best team by like a good amount. But the next best, I think, is Ameth Lene SK, then Ameth Lene Chisa, and then Ameth Lupa Mornai. That's kind of the lineup for her teams currently. And before you ask, no, there isn't really a free to play alternative for Lene or Lupa here. Like a 4-star, they don't really exist. What about AA? Still not that important? Yeah. AA is like, okay, here's the thing. I could eventually, like, the thing is, I love vertical investment. So even though eventually I'll be able to do like full clears on AA on even my free to play account, it's going to take a while because of the way I'm building my teams and the route I'm deciding to go. But even outside of this, AA is just a shill battle. And what I mean by that is, like, for example, if you look at any clears of this new AA with Sparksy, no joke, just the elation damage buff, right? The thing that triggers after every aha instant and does damage to enemies, does like 30% of the elation team's damage. Okay? That's how fucking egregious the shilling is. It makes Sparksy look incredibly broken, and she is strong, but the reality is that she is being shilled to hell and back in that shit. And then anybody who isn't Sparksy obviously needs more investment to achieve the same thing. Not because Sparksy is stronger, just because her shilling is stronger, right? And that's what I don't really like about anomaly arbitration. You don't like NTE? I just don't want to get into any new gacha games, man. And no, but like also, NTE doesn't look like the gacha I'd want to get into. It looks like more casual friendly, like a anime GTA. Uh, I don't really care about that type of style of game too much. Like the only gacha game I really want to get into is Silver Palace, and I really want to give a shot. Everything else, it's like it just get in the way, and I'd be probably forcing myself to play it. You think La Mancha will be a break character? Yep. I think it'll be a break one. And then Himiko will also be break, but get the main shilling like Firefly. Double Pawn's Matrix? Yeah, they're resetting Double Pawn's Matrix. And they're adding Havatia to the next one. Which is the flying boss in Lahai Roy when you farm for like Luke shit, I think. Or sorry, when you farm for Lene, actually. When you farm for Lene. I hope that Himiko is a break unit. She'll probably be Phanon of the version. Yeah. Let's see your Lene stats. They're trash, dude. I only built Lene to have energy regen. And that's it. For a smooth rotation. I forgot I got static mist on my Mortefi, dude. Oh my goodness. Training pistols. And then look at these echo stats. Tell me this ain't min-maxed. Tell me it ain't min-maxed. You can't, because it is. This, yep. Any information on 3.1 pull count? Nope. Too early. I'll update you guys when the WUA bookkeeping gets updated. If I had to guess, it'll probably be like 100 to 110. Mainly just because of the extra 10 pull given. This is the thing I hate about like the WUA fan base to some extent. Dude, they'll look at the live streams and they'll be like, oh my god, they're giving us fucking 30 free pulls. These people, like, are they just new to this gacha space or like what? Like, they can easily reduce the base amount of pulls you get in a new patch, which make the extra pulls worthless. I don't get these people. Do they not think? This is what happened on the Annie, by the way. This is legit exactly what happened on the Annie. People are like, oh my god, they're giving us an insane amount of free pulls like from the live stream. And then when the Annie's over and you check the bookkeeping, it barely has more than an average patch because the base amount of pulls were really low. And this has happened like a few times at this point. They just keep falling for it. Luke with SK isn't bad, but Luke with SK takes significantly longer to hit his 4 toon breaks to max out his kit scaling. So it's actually a bigger difference than it looks. Because Mornai will allow Luke to max out his kit scaling with 4 toon breaks 50% faster. But yeah, still really solid with SK. Well, yeah, I mean, there have been rumors that Segrika might be the only character in 3.2, meaning it's probably gonna be a dry patch pulls wise, for sure. And then you'd have 3.3 with the Annie. Hopefully, it's better than the last one, and then you have the collab after. That didn't happen. People were literally outraged because they only gave 33 extra pulls to begin with. Yeah, but like even with those, like the thing is, one, they lock some pulls behind the night market, and two, as a CC, and like when I was going through the Annie videos and stuff like that back then, people thought that pull count was incredibly high. And then when the actual patch came out and people realized how low the base pull count was, that was when they started being more outraged. Which is kind of my point, right? Like, there was outrage before, but it was significantly larger when people, like, they found out they got fooled, right? But also, here's the thing. What makes Kuro's Annie worse, and, you know, obviously a lot of people have forgot about this at this point, the patch before the Annie got cut short by a week to rush the Annie, right? So people lost 1 week worth of pulls from a patch, and then the next Annie patch doesn't even give that much more than an average patch. So if you like deduct a week worth of pulls from the Annie to make up for the rushed SK patch, the Annie then ends up possibly being lower than the average, which is like, oh shit. Like that shit was bad, dude. We Yeah, the market event, yeah. Dude, Armadillo, we agree, man. We agree. We Dude, I've met so many people that have called me crazy for saying that I don't like polling events because they say it's like at least polling events are obtainable by free to play. But like, dude, especially when it isn't announced like at a good time, like for example the Archer thing, like so many people didn't agree with me, but you think the exact same way I do. I hate it when there is a really good reward for polling events, like limited polls or like a Light Cone or a character, like whatever. I hate it so much, dude. Because then like the FOMO really starts getting to me. Because polling events are a lot more doable than spending events. Spending is like, oh, there's literally no way for me to get close to, you know, getting a free SK unless I drop 150. But a polling event is like you could be at, let's say, 70 out of 100 polls near the end of the patch, and that shit gets to you, man. It really starts getting to you. Yeah, if I remember correctly, you had to pull at least 60 times during the Annie to get all of the pulls out of the night market. I believe it was about 60. It might have been 80, but I'd like to give it the benefit of the doubt. I think it was 60 pulls on the Annie. So some people went 60 pulls into banners they didn't even want to pull on just for the extra pulls. And then they either wasted a guarantee or they just got something they didn't want or they lost 50-50, like shit like that. I got very lucky with my Anoxa account in the Archer Light Cone situation because my Anoxa account wanted Sunday and Tribi at the time. So I wasn't technically all that affected by it. It was a freebie for me. But on another account, that would have low key sucked. You see any details on Lucia? Nope. No, I know, Dauntless, I know. Like, the thing is, Dauntless, like, my ideal scenario is if they do a pulling event, it's at least achievable with the pulls given in the patch. You know, that's kind of like a bare minimum and it's as low as pulls as possible. But my best case scenario is they give free to play some stuff and then they also have a spending event, right? Like, for example, I kind of want this game to add the free golden tokens that HSR gives, right? I think that would be really nice. Because let's be honest, Literally the only valuable 1.x character at this point is SK. There just isn't really anybody else. And the thing is, this doesn't mean they're unusable, but just that they're bad value. So if you do like the golden token system in HSR, but for Wuwa, like if somebody gets a free Gion on the Annie, if they get a Jin Shi, if they get a Kami, that's like an introductory DPS that allows them to clear endgame content, which would be so nice. But like, I'm like kind of iffy if Wuwa will ever give a free limited 5-star at this point, or like that many. You know what I'm saying? Like even now, I'm not even completely confident they'll give a free 5-star on the collab. I'm like 50-50 on it. Yeah, the 1.x characters also don't have as big of sig jumps. Oh, thank you, Meds. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you subbing. Glad you like the recent videos. Imagine when I was free, keep dreaming. How about HSR? Do you think we'll get a free 5-star in 4.x? 100%. I think we will, at minimum, keep getting the normal golden tokens we get on like special patches, and we'll get one free limited 5-star. I'm not going to say two, because 3.x was a bit of an exception with Archer, but I'd say it's probably a safe bet that they'll give one free limited 5-star. That's like new every single version, and then they'll have like one or two golden tokens in there that people can use to exchange for older characters. At this point, people are just gonna get an E6 May. Like that, I can see that happening. Some people at this point are just gonna get E6 May, or they just keep holding on to them. After E1, it'd be better to just save. Well, the thing with E6 May is that she now gives like insane levels of additional damage in the break team. I underestimated it at first, but when I actually saw a video of like a full Firefly break team with like May, these additional damage ticks trigger on even the non DPS, by the way, and they did like 6 to 700. Oh my god! But they did like 6 to 700k per tick on every single attack. Ruan May. Her additional damage goes crazy. But it's her E6. I think it's her E6, so it's like you gotta go the way. Free Blade SP or Aventurine SP? Uh, I think the most likely to be free would probably be Avon. Between the two. I think Blade is more popular than Avon. I mean, I have confidence Rebecca may be free. Because even though I absolutely love Rebecca, it's like kind of obvious Lucy would sell more than Rebecca in the collab. So I think they could like make at least a Rebecca free. If they don't give a free limited for this Annie or the collab, dude, like, but I'm hoping they do. I have some level of confidence. There's no way they fuck it up on the second Annie. Which brings me back to like HSR Annie. Dude, listen, I like the free 5 stars, right? But I'm greedy and stupid. Okay, and because of this, I want the third HSR Annie to address a much bigger issue. Make the light cones guaranteed. You sons of a bitches. You're making every character want their fucking light cone. Make it guaranteed. Okay? Wait, did I say free earlier? I meant guaranteed. Make the light cone banner guaranteed. I'm tired of this shit, dude. What do you mean I have a 25% chance to actually lose on the fucking light cone banner? Change this shit already. It's the third year too, which is why I have a little bit of confidence they'll actually make a change. You know what? I'll take either or actually, right? I'll take either or. I'll take capturing Radiance equivalent or guaranteed Lycone banner. I think both of them are equally valuable because of how fucking busted Eidolons are and how bad loss streaks can get. But, you know, just give me one of the two. Okay, give me one of the two. If anything, you know, Hoyoverse, I love you, right? I may cover leaks, but you know, I still appreciate the dev team and everything. If anyone's watching this, can you implement both? Pretty please? Pretty please? I'm begging. Asking Hoyo to cut revenue by 25%? Buddy, that is not how it works. That is not how it works. For one, the majority of people make, or sorry, the majority of people spend on character banners and not Lycone ones, right? So that's the first thing. Secondly, only 25% of people actually lose on a Lycone banner, which means even Lycone banners being the least, you know, significant towards a revenue as compared to character banners, at max, if I had to guess, their average revenue goes down by like 10%. So they go from doing like 50 million, 60 million on average every patch to doing 55 million. Wow, right? What a fucking nerf to the revenue. But keep in mind, if the Lycone banner becomes guaranteed, a lot more people would actually be willing to spend money on it, right? So I think in total, the revenue loss wouldn't be that large, and they'd gain favor with the player base, and more people would be willing to come back or try HSR if they did decide to make the Lycone banner guaranteed. Yeah, probably meds. Like a vast majority of revenue in HSR is for sure attributed to just character banner. A lot of it just isn't Lycone. A lot of people will go for character first, and then even if, let's say, they lose Lycone, they'll just wait till the next rerun banner. I mean, the only reason I say this is I'm pretty sure they revamped Honkai Third's gacha system at some point in its lifespan. And Genshin also got obviously capturing Radiance. And they got an update to their weapon system at some point. So, like, all the mainstream Hoyo gacha games have gotten, like, some change. Like, you also have ZZZ with this new guaranteed rerun banner. HSR is the only one that doesn't have something like this, right? They're the only one who doesn't really have anything special on the banners, except I guess you could argue the 50-50 loss. You can now put in like Seal and Blade and shit, but I mean that's the worst, you know, iteration of revamping banners as compared to the other games. Yeah, Pablo, yeah. It's probably more accurate the light cones aren't that much. I have E2 Blade because of that. I understand, but it's like Blade is literally the only character you want to lose to in that thing, and it's like a 1 in 7 chance you actually get Blade in the first place. I'd much rather take capturing Radiance or like guaranteed signature or you know rerun banners with a guaranteed like I think all three of those are better. What are the odds they buff Dill in version 4? 0. I've lost hope at this point. They add capturing radiance but for the Light Cone banner, that shit would genuinely be dog shit. I'd make a video clowning on them. I don't care. Putting capturing radiance on a Light Cone banner would genuinely piss me off. It's like Kuro adding these substat selectors, but like you can't get it unless you pay money. Or like Coral, like it's that level of useless. Speaking of, dude, I watched Gotcha Smack's video of him talking with Saint. Dude, Saint doesn't know what the fuck he's saying, dude. Like, I'm gonna drop it after this. He said word for word, the substat selector in WUA is better than HSR because at least it's obtainable free to play, but in HSR you can't. Like, what? You can get 2 variable dice, a patch, free to play. You get self-modeling resin that you can craft. You get self-modeling resin from anomaly arbitration. You get self-modeling resin from the MOC shop resetting. And you get self-modeling resin from the battle pass, even as a free-to-play, right? You, in a lot of cases, get enough to make 2 reroll dices every single patch if you wanted to. Like, are we serious? And then Gotcha Smack agreed with him, which is fine, right? Like, Gotcha Smack doesn't play HSR anymore. He doesn't actually know, like, how the system works. I'm not blaming him. But, like, they just kept talking normally as if that was a fact, when it isn't. Like, the reroll dice is very accessible in HSR. You can get them from currency, war, / universe levels as well. True. I forgot about that. If you max out anomaly arbitration, I believe you can actually make 3 per patch. If you clear within 2 cycles against all the knights consistently, you can actually get 3 per patch. And then if you spend money, you could possibly get like 4. Did you drop ZZZ again? Yeah, kinda. I don't know. Man, playing so many gachas just ain't for me. I'm really not built for it. Do you get just one from AA? No, you're thinking of... Okay, what you're thinking of isn't the self-modeling resin. You get 1 self-modeling resin from each knight that you get 3 stars on. And 3 self-modeling resin is enough for a variable dice. What you get from the AA King boss is the substat locker. That's what you get. So you can choose 1 substat you don't want the rolls to roll in. That's what the King boss gives. It doesn't give a variable dice or any self-modeling resin. Nah, like I'm not blaming Smack once again, like because he hasn't played HSR in fucking forever. I'm pretty sure he just doesn't remember the system anymore. But I just thought it was like, dude, like they're talking about shit that isn't even true because there's no one to fact check it. Because they don't play HSR. They just talk about these games without playing them and then say that something is worse as compared to Wu, which is like kind of the entire premise of like my hypocrisy shit in the first place. Smack was one of the people calling people beggars during the Wua Annie. Well, I'm mainly talking about this specifically. Maybe generally. I don't watch Smack. Like, I really don't watch almost any gacha CCs in this space anymore. The one I used to most actively watch back during my first hypocrisy video was Pokey. That was like the only one I could probably confidently say I watched consistently. Now I don't watch really any of them consistently. It's just like sometimes if there's maybe a topic that interests me on my recommended, I'll click it, and that's as far as it goes. I watch you and Foxel. That's pretty cool. Thanks. I hate how Saint was glazing. I hate how Saint was glazing Prolov on her rerun. Best DPS in that way. Well, okay. There is a problem with Prolova value that kind of happened like a few patches after her, and people, found this out. Prolova's main glaze has been Wiwa performance, right? And obviously team variety, but that isn't something special to her anymore. But it's mainly been like duo DPS because of the off-field damage and Wiwa performance. But she took a considerable hit in terms of value for Wiwa when it was found out the Plunderer team, right? The Plunderer team is basically you get 3 healers on a team and you give them electro damage bonus 3 costs and you put them on lingering tunes and you build them with crit, and the hits from Plunderer do fucking insane amounts of damage and you get a ton of ticks with healers. So if we're talking about Wiwa value, Prolova is like possibly even weaker at max potential by the sweatiest player, maybe slightly stronger than like 3 4 stars on a team or 2 4 stars in a standard character, just spamming healing and abusing Plunderer. So her Wiwa value just sucks because you don't need a limited team for Wiwa anymore, right? And then the only thing you have is basically her ability to be in multiple teams, but I'd argue Galbrena kind of already does this, right? Galbrena, because she's fusion specifically, has a pretty large variety of teams that she can fit in. I mean, even Ameth to an extent, because she's also fusion, has Lupa, and I mean, also they're kind of stronger. It's not that Frolova's bad; she's still very meta, very good, but like Wiwa just isn't really a thing anymore for her value. People take gacha too seriously. Well, at the same time, you need to understand it from the perspective of, even if you don't care about it, having like one of these tribalistic CCs being the first thing a new player in a gacha like season comes across is like so unhealthy for a games community. Like you just need to understand that. And the bigger problem is mostly for CCs, right? CCs who are trying to be objective, who are trying to be unbiased, will get reacted to, clowned on, made fun of, brigaded, by these other more popular Wua CCs who have built an audience off of the tribalism, right? That's kind of the problem with them. They're kind of like an unhealthy infestation. That's why so many people take an issue with it. Tribalism just leads to much more unhealthier gaming communities, and as well much less healthier discussion, because well, some people don't even want to have a real discussion. They just want to talk about how much better their favorite game is than yours. Like, for example, after I got my Annie video reacted to by all those big CCs, I had to deal with months of harassment on here. Like, I'd stream and I'd have people on multiple different accounts. Like, there's this one guy who took it so far. He made at least like 50 accounts, at least, right? And came by on almost every single stream just trying to talk shit, trying to make fun of me, say this and that. And it was even worse in some of the comment sections of my community posts, right? And I had to go on insane banning sprees. Like, the fact I even have to do that just for sharing my own objective opinion instead of being tribalistic and being like, yeah, Woo is the best game ever, I love this Annie, is genuinely fucking insanity. Yeah, meds. Well, yeah, no idea. Like, have you not seen, like, what happens sometimes? Like, literally the first time a sizable CC said something negative about Wua's story incredibly openly, which I think was Genazad, he got an insane amount of heat. And then after he got more heat, in my opinion, deservedly, because he started using him spending money on the game as a stance for why his opinion matters more than others. Which, in my opinion, I think I wouldn't go that far, right? But he was already originally getting heat for that. You as well have Gotcha Smack. Whenever Gotcha Smack, like, I'd say a few months ago, now it's a lot better. A few months ago, when Gotcha Smack was kind of coming around to being like, yeah, maybe Wua is just like the other Gotcha games, he was also getting quite a bit of heat in his videos criticizing like Kuro, prices of things, power creep, predatory practices. Like, his comments were not happy. Like, no, people did not like that shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, really, Abdul? Damn, that sucks. I have both Mornai and Lene. I'm pulling Ameth next patch. Should I pull her weapon or her S1 after getting her? If you're choosing between the two, for sure the weapon. Even if you went to her S2, it'd be weaker than getting her weapon. Or about the same. So, for sure get the weapon. Her S3 is the big jump. Yeah, you also had Maggie. Now, I do think, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly from that drama, Maggie was at fault for sure to an extent. But like, she was legit the best guide maker this entire Wua space had. Openly did calcs, put in a fuck ton of effort into fully explaining like character rotations and how people play them, and then she just quit. She just couldn't take it anymore. She just quit. So it's like Wua basically lost their best like YouTube TCer kinda. Wua has a weird disdain for TCs, if I'm being completely honest, it's because it goes against their agenda that this game has no power creep and characters aren't getting stronger. Like, since the beginning of this game, there are two things that have been commonly said. This is a game first, gacha second, and the power creep doesn't matter so long as you're skilled with characters. And a TCer completely disproves that and shows that no matter how skilled you are with a character, power creep will eventually catch up to them. So, someone with the newest 3.x DPS versus someone incredibly skilled with a 1.x DPS, the skilled player will still lose because of the power creep. So it goes against the agenda. Like, for example, one of the biggest things I received heat for on my Annie video back then wasn't even necessarily my takes, but because I brought up Zanny TC from Maggie, which, by the way, ended up being wrong in the fact that Zanny ended up being way stronger, right? She ended up being even stronger than Maggie originally imagined. But people hated the TC back then for Maggie because of Saint Tontaz hating on Maggie and instantly discredited it. And now, even to this day, people aren't aware that a 4-3-4 Nightfall Zanny rotation does like 1.9 million. And then the 4 Nightfall one with Quick Swap does like 2.3, 2.4. They don't know this. They're completely unaware. Where do all these toxic Wua fans come from? In my opinion, it can just be generalized that a majority of people that fall into this tribalistic stuff usually have a hate for a game they used to play or they got simply burnt out of it, and they want to feel, they want to feel proud, right? They want to feel proud that they moved on to a new game, so they need to constantly flaunt how much better, in their opinion, the game they're now playing is as compared to the older one they've gotten sick of or they've simply moved on from. And the reality is, this is mostly ex-Genshin players. Ex-Genshin players that quit the game, move to Wua, which I don't blame them, by the way, but could never move on from comparing the two because they want to feel constantly justified and proud that they play Wua over Genshin. Which is like, it's such a useless thing to be proud of. But I truly believe that's how it is. I don't play HSR, but I like Whoa Whoa. She's still relevant? Nope. Sorry. But, nope. I wonder if Wua CCs ever think about the effect they have on the community. Probably not. Not a majority of them. At the end of the day, you need to understand, for a lot of people, and I'd say, like, being in this space as long as I have, as someone who doesn't really care about the money, hasn't accepted any sponsorships in like 2 years because I just do this shit as a hobby, most people will instantly fold for a bag. And they'll be a completely different person for the bag. So, the reality is, making inflammatory statements, even if they're wrong, about other games, and, kind of like shilling yourself towards a tribalistic fan base, is a very easy way to get views. Incredibly easy, right? Really, really easy. If you just make constant videos shitting on Genshin and glazing Wua, you will have a successful channel, and I'm not trolling. I'm being dead ass. This is not a troll. I have seen this exact formula from multiple channels. I've seen some channels who were way smaller than me, at the time of the Annie and are now significantly bigger just because they make videos shitting on Genshin and glazing Wuwa. I've seen at least like 2 to 3 of these channels at this point. I think I can actually give an example. His name was the gacha DG2. The gacha DG2. He had less subs than me when, like, way back. Like, his channel, and he has way less videos than me, right? Although I make slop content, so that makes sense. I just spam videos. And now I'm pretty sure he is far ahead of me in both subs and views. And if you look, like if you want to go search him, you can. Don't give him hate, okay? At the end of the day, I truly think he's just trying to make a bag. I don't think he's honest opinions. I think it's just trying to make a bag. But check his video, like, upload history. Look at how many HSR slander videos and Genshin slander videos there are, and Wuwa Glaze ones. And then look at the difference in views from Hoyo slander videos to his Wuwa ones. It is significant. You sound jealous? How? I'm literally saying don't send hate, and I don't think it's his real opinions because he's trying to make a bag. I'm literally defending him. Are we serious? Oh my goodness, man. I'm just pointing out a fact. If I cared about making as much money as possible and getting as many views, I would make edited content. And I take a complete turn on the content I make. I am a slop content creator. Like, do people think I'm afraid to admit this? I am fully aware I am a slop creator. I don't edit my shit. I don't script my shit. I can make videos on the most random of things. And that's what makes this hobby one of my favorite things to do. Like, I don't feel the need to hide anything, to sugarcoat any of my opinions. I can just say what I think, put it out there, and there will be like a niche community of people who still watch it, which I really appreciate. His most viewed video is quitting Genshin. Mine? Yeah. I'm pretty sure my most viewed video still to this day is that how Wuwa ruined Genshin for me. It still stands, by the way. That shit still stands. And if anything, this perfectly goes to show you my point. Okay? It perfectly shows my point. My most popular video on my channel was one of my first videos I ever made, and it was a Hoyo slander video while glazing Wuwa. Like, think about that. In the next 2 years of me making content, I have never been able to come close to toppling that video. Think about that, man. It's so crazy. I actually want to check how many views that video has now. And how much the second one has. So it has 39k. My next popular is 24k about Tribalism 1. And then my third most popular is the newest predatory Hoyo tactic. I remember I made this video about the rerun banners. And that got 17k. Like, dude. I promise you guys. Like, I wouldn't recommend it. And it's kind of like backwards to recommend someone do this. Because Like, obviously, I hate it myself. But if you are, like, in desperate need or desperate want to grow a channel as quick as possible in this gacha space, the easiest way is to just hate Hoyo Glaze Wuwa. And I'm not trolling. It is the easiest way. You can also make a bunch of money on the way. The third highest is called the newest predatory Hoyo tactic? Yeah. I'm a dip now. Gotta go to sleep. Hope you have a good stream. Thank you, Armadillo. Good night. Thanks for stopping by. A Sigma would hate on Kuro and Glaze Tower of Fantasy. Okay, buddy. Okay. Do you think Wuwa CCs will react to your last video? Maybe, but it's like, I don't care. I'm not responding. Like, that video, once again, I said it at the beginning of the stream. I made that video for the community of these gacha games and Wuwa, and not for those CCs. It was like a wake-up call video, just reinstating what I said 9 months ago. And if people still don't, like, want to listen to my video, I mean, that's fine. I don't control what other people watch, but, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to turn this into an entire thing of me battling other CCs. Because here's the thing. It's like talking to a fucking wall. Okay, if there's one thing I've learned in being in this space for so many years, especially someone or people who have a record of, having discussions and just never changing their minds, there's no point. At best, I can make money off it, I can engagement farm off it, and I can make way more money, but that's not my goal. So, I just don't want to bother with it. Who's ready? Hello, Foldy Mara. Who's ready for some folding? Oh my goodness. This account is on C servers. C servers. Alright, chat. I'm going to end the stream here. Just want to get a quick stream off today, okay? Love you all. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great night. I'm going to go drink a fat glass of milk because, like, bro, my throat gets so dry so fast. And I don't have a water on me. And peace out.